Hi you guys, and welcome back to another true crime and makeup time video. If you're new here, my name is Zara and I post a new true crime video every single week. So if you love makeup and you love true crime, definitely don't forget to come back and check out my weekly videos. Also, if you have any cool case suggestions, definitely leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear of any new or unknown cases. So today's case is a little bit different. It's about thriller killing. Now, anyone that murders, murder is not okay. It's unacceptable. But sometimes they have motives, money, jealousy, anger. They have reasons for it sometimes. But when someone kills purely for thrills, oh no. Let's get into today's video. So let's begin by talking about Erica. Oh, Erica. So Erica Elaine Grace was born in 1978 in Roaring Springs, Pennsylvania, to her parents, Charlotte and Gerald Grace. And she had the sweetest, nicest name to have Grace as her last name. It sounds so regal, so pretty. She was an only child and she grew up, I would say, pretty wealthy because her father, Gerald, he actually owned his own construction business. And we all know, if you're doing well, if you're successful, that makes money, honey. So in high school, Erica actually did really well in sort of everything. And that was mainly due to her father. He really pushed her and was one of the people, the driving forces behind her doing well in sports. And he was pretty hard on her, I would say. He really pushed her. So because of this, she was this star basketball player and she was also an honor roll student. She graduated in 1996 and attended Mary Washington University in Virginia, where she got in on a partial athletic scholarship. Erica excelled in college, both in academics and athletics. She kind of appeared to have it all, money, looks, brains. But deep down, she was known to be really insecure and easily influenced by other people. So now it is 1998. Erica is now 20 years old. And she will meet a man who ends up taking, I would say, advantage of these insecurities of hers. So this man's name is Benjamin Sifrit, or Sifrit, BJ, as people would call him, BJ. And he was also the same age as Erica. And now initially the two of them, they seemed to be a really good fit. They just worked. They had a lot in common, especially sports. They were both so into it. Ben was originally from Iowa and he had actually been a competitive swimmer, and he was currently he had a job as a lifeguard at the time that they met. And not much is really known about Ben except the fact that he was raised in Minnesota, and then he was poor in high school apparently. I don't know if he was poor in grades or financially poor, but poor in high school is what I read. So when he graduated, he enlisted in the Navy, and then in 1997, he began his SEAL training. And he apparently did really, really well in this. He was excelling in it. So when he met Erica, they actually met while Erica was at a bar with some of her friends. And at the beginning, he actually tried to dissuade Erica from entering a relationship with him because he was training for the SEAL and, he had a demanding schedule. But apparently she was just super relentless. She was into him. And then 3 weeks later, they eloped in Vegas. Her friends and family were super disappointed. And I'm guessing probably because she came from kind of a wealthier family. They probably had these standards and probably wanted her to have a big wedding, things like that. So when her friends and family found out, they were disappointed. Erica had never been known as an impulsive or irresponsible person. So her just spontaneously saying yes to this marriage proposal was wild for the family. It just wasn't like Erica at all. And what they found out later, or, he already had this at the time, but Ben, he apparently had this dark side. And I don't even need to tell you that because I'm going to show you a picture. And you can see from this picture, he had this large swastika tattoo on his chest, huge. And while most women would run for the hills after seeing a man have that on him, Erica was just into him. Ben was manipulative and known for his temper, and he apparently could just switch on the charm whenever he wanted. So maybe, she didn't want to say no to Ben's proposal. But reading this, they were together for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, you know, and how persuaded by him could she have been? But sometimes these kind of relationships, they enter into, they kind of like see each other every single day and they don't even leave each other's side. So maybe that constant contact made her feel good, made her feel, you know, wanted. I mean, could she have been afraid of him, as people suggest? It's 3 weeks. I mean, it is stated that he intimidated women and, you know, he was overpowering, things like that. But comment down below, do you think in 3 weeks you can be intimidated by someone and be like, I have to marry you? I don't think so. I think she wanted to. I think she liked the rush that Ben gave her and maybe she felt like a different person around him. So at the beginning, Ben and Erica were just a conventionally good-looking couple. You know, they just did normal couple things and they both viewed health and fitness as a top priority in their lives, in their relationship. Also, when they got married in 1998, when they eloped, they didn't invite anyone. Like, it was literally just the two of them. So I guess that's also a reason why her family would have been disappointed, and his family too. According to Ben's mother, her son completely changed when he met Erica. He was apparently close with the rest of his family, and then when he met Erica, he just kind of like blocked everyone out. He stopped calling, he stopped visiting, and it's like he just wanted to make Erica happy, and that was his main priority. They said this was super extreme, the way that it flipped, and usually like this kind of behavior is often a sign for a controlling and an abusive relationship. And it, like, both sides of the family are kind of saying things like that. So in my opinion, I feel like, first of all, 3 weeks, calm down. And second of all, I feel like sometimes two people just aren't meant to be together. It's like that thing, you know how you're not supposed to mix cleaning products, you know, like you're not supposed to mix bleach with other stuff. So like, it's like they were bleach and other cleaning products. Does that make sense? So this relationship also seemed to affect Ben's Navy career, you know, the one that he was doing really well in. Erica didn't like that Ben would be gone for long stretches of time during his training, and she would apparently call him and harass him frequently while he was on the job. She claimed to have anxiety attacks and bouts of depression while he was gone. And once he was actually in Alaska for training, and she actually flew up there and visited him, which is against the rules. And because of this, they were actually both sent home at the time. And he actually ended up being discharged from the Navy on the grounds of dishonorable conduct. Sorry, I mean bad conduct. And I mean, this didn't have anything to do with the fact that he had a big swastika sticker on him, you know, the fact that he was a Nazi, but okay. But yeah, I guess like he just kept doing things and Erica kept sort of interfering with his job, which caused him to just lose his job. So in early 2001, Ben and Erica, they are both 23 years old at this point, which is like so young, but they moved to Altoona, Pennsylvania, near where Erica grew up. And crazy enough, this was the first time that Erica's parents actually met Ben, which is just crazy to me, because wouldn't Erica have been receiving some kind of like money from her parents, or considering the fact that they were apparently wealthy? Like usually, you know, you get money, but maybe she was just doing everything by herself. It's kind of crazy that her parents didn't have an issue with her eloping with Ben, and maybe she did, and these things don't get reported, you know, like private conversations. But basically when her parents met Ben, they were not thrilled, obviously. But it was over here that Ben and Erica opened up a little store, and it was a scrapbooking store. They called it Memory Lane, and the idea was customers would bring like pictures and, you know, memorabilia, things like that, and Ben and Erica would turn it into a scrapbook. They also began selling stuff on eBay, and the stuff that they would sell was very strange. And this makes me think about things that I, you know, try and buy on eBay. But the things that Ben and Erica were selling on eBay was merchandise, like store merchandise. But they would break into the store and steal the store merchandise and then sell it on eBay. So for example, they would like break into Hooters and then like grab all the Hooters t-shirts and hats and things like that and then sell that on eBay. Like, I guess people buy that. Well, I guess it's much cheaper, right? Now, they were specifically targeting Hooters. Like, that's what they liked. And this was not like Erica at all. At all. Not like so different from the way she grew up. But remember, apparently she was easily influenced. So that's the explanation for that. She wanted to impress her badass Nazi husband. She also, around this time, began drinking heavily, and then they started taking drugs together, which is always a great combination. So my son just came in to say goodbye to me, and he wanted to give me a T-Rex. So I think you will sit down here. So this couple now, they realized they thrived on excitement. Like that's what kept them going in their daily lives. And Erica's friends said that they didn't even recognize her anymore at this point. She got tattoos, including this, I mean, tattoos aren't so wild, but she got tattoos which wasn't like her, including this cross on her hip that was influenced by the movie Natural Born Killers. Ben, who was already into guns, he bought Erica a .357 Magnum gun as like a gift. Two of them began, collecting pet snakes, and that was their thing. And they had names like Bonnie, Clyde. I think one of them was Hitler, of course, and then one of them was HIV. So great names. They also began, like, they were already doing drugs, but then their drug use began becoming really heavy. But still, this was just not enough for them. And I have a feeling that, like, the more I think about it, the more, I talk about it, I have a feeling that this kind of couple, for them to be into each other, for them to keep things going, for them to maybe be turned on by each other, like, they need this kind of thrill in their life. And what happens with levels, right? So you start off with like, I'm going to steal this piece of candy from the candy bar. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to steal, instead of those little like opening containers where you take one piece of candy, you go and you steal a Snickers bar. And then you steal freaking bread loaf. I don't know how to steal, but you know what I mean? Like you just like progressively get worse and worse and worse. So same thing with thrill stuff, right? Like you just want to, the things that you began to do no longer thrill you anymore. So you need more and more and more and more. Yeah, that's what we're about to talk about. So now, obviously, they've been married a few years at this point. They're like, we got to do something fun. So the two of them, they head out for their first vacation in May of 2002 to Ocean City in Maryland. But they had more in their minds than just sunbathing and bar hopping during this vacation. So while they were in Ocean City on 25th May 2002, they meet another couple. And the girl's name is Martha Jeannie Crutchley, and the guy's name is Joshua Ford. And they meet this couple while they are on a shuttle bus to the club that's called Secrets. And what happened was, while they were on this bus, they had to pay the fare and they didn't have the exact change with them. So Joshua, he, stepped up. He was a nice guy. And he was like, okay, I'll pay for your bus fare. Just, buy me a drink when we get into the club. Once we're there, like, buy me a drink. That's how you can pay me back. And they were like, cool. So they get to the club and, the four of them, they end up really hitting it off. They're having a great time. They're drinking, they're dancing, they're just enjoying themselves. This couple, Martha went by Jeannie, and Joshua, they were originally from Fairfax, Virginia, and they had lived together for about a year, and they had come to Ocean City because they were looking to just have a good time, have some fun, relax, party it up, like just enjoy themselves. So as the club begins closing for the night, remember the four of them spent basically the whole night like together hanging out. Ben and Erica asked Jeannie and Josh, like, hey, do you guys want to come back to our penthouse? Like, we've got this beautiful penthouse, and just come back. We can continue the partying, we can continue the drinks, and just keep having fun. And Jeannie and Joshua, they happily, were like, yeah, let's go keep this party going. Now, this is something I'm super curious about. So my husband and I, even when we were dating, we just, it's not that we don't like people, but we just kind of like aren't into it. Like, we would have had fun at the club, things like that, but all we would have wanted to do is probably just go home after that. So that if someone invites us back to their place and it's also really late at night, we don't know you, we probably wouldn't go. And I don't know, do majority of people say yes? Or do majority of people say no, especially while you're in vacation and stuff like that? You know, you're in more of a party mood and you're in more of a, like, you're drinking, things like that. So I definitely know we would have said no, but what would you guys do? What would majority of you guys do? Would you go? Like, would you go to this couple that you don't know? And I don't know. And the thing is, when I think about it, my parents, a little fact, they love to party. Like, maybe my mom not so much anymore, but when they were younger, they were into it. Like, they always, like, they would, like, we would be at home, like, as teenagers, as like early 20s, and they would be the ones coming home at like 4 a.m. and we'd be like, hello, where are you at? So my parents, I feel like if they, you know, even if they were like in their 40s, something like that, they would have gone. Actually, maybe even now they would, maybe now they wouldn't do it, but they probably still would do it. But when they were like in their 30s, 40s, for sure, they would go back to this couple's house and keep drinking. Like, that's just what you did back then. And I know for a fact we did this because I remember going to Thailand with my parents and my brothers and stuff like that. And this whole time we end up spending the time with this like couple who were on their honeymoon. I mean, we were like, I must have been at least like 7. This couple, they were newly married. They were young. And I remember spending the whole time, like, we went on jet skis with the couple. And then at night we'd go to restaurants and my parents would be drinking with this couple. And I was thinking, why is this couple hanging out with my parents? Like, why are you hanging out with kids and 2 older people, right? But like, that's, anyway, my point is my parents would have done this. You know, they totally would have done it. So as you can guess, after Joshua and Jeannie go up to this apartment, they have a good time. They were never heard from again. They also didn't show up to their jobs a few days later, which obviously, you know, raised some concern because both of them didn't show up. So their coworkers were like, that's so weird. It's not like them. So then they report them missing. And you guys, I've noticed like a lot of cases I'm researching, a lot of the time it's the coworkers that report these people missing. Like, where are their families? Just something I thought of. So police go in Ocean City. They start looking for Joshua and Jeannie, and they find their car like still in the lot where it was originally sitting, you know, where they lived, the place they were renting. So the police put out flyers, they issue bolos, they, you know, look around and they find nothing. So on May 31st, 2002, another Hooters in Ocean City gets broken into, and police were actually alerted of this break-in because the store had a silent alarm. So because of this, the police, they go make their way to this Hooters. When they arrived, the people that broke in were still there. It was a man and a woman, and they were actually leaving the building at the time. And they had these huge bags of Hooters merchandise with them. So the police, they get out of the vehicle, they approach this couple and they're like, what's up? Obviously, it was Ben and Erica. And along with the stolen merchandise, the police find a .357 Magnum gun on Erica's body and a knife. And Ben was carrying a 9mm handgun and a knife. So the police were like, if you're coming here to rob, why do you have these weapons on you? So clearly to them, it was more than a robbery. So obviously the police arrest them right then and there. And they were so drunk that Ben was like really just like talking crap. And he told the police officers like, I'll just, you know, we'll just put all of this back, you know, we'll put all the merchandise back and we can be cool, you and me, you know, we can just be cool. Let me go. And the police was like, obviously not. And Erica, on the other hand, she was having like a full panic attack. She was breaking down and she's crying and she's saying she's so scared because this is, I mean, they had been doing this and this is the first time they had ever been caught. So while they're being interviewed, she asks the police officers, you know, I'm having a panic attack right now. Like, can I just please grab my anxiety meds from my purse? And the police, obviously, they're obviously not going to give her the purse. So they were like, okay, we'll like look for it. And they begin going through her purse, like her handbag. and they find a little bit more than just anxiety medication. So as they're going through her purse, they find ID cards belonging to the missing couple, Jeannie and Joshua. At this point, that couple had been missing for like nearly a week. And also in the bag, they find 5 spent rounds of ammunition. Ben and Erica were like, what IDs? Like, what IDs did you find in my bag? They just stayed completely quiet about the whole situation at that point. The police were like, okay, we're going to take you down to the station. Come on in, let's question you. So while they were being questioned at the station, the police actually made their way to the penthouse where they were renting, which I thought they would need to have like a warrant for. And from what I read, it happened like the same night they were arrested. So if they had probable cause, do they get a warrant that quickly? But anyway, so they went straight to the penthouse. And they went to this penthouse thinking that Josh and Jeannie were going to be there hanging out and they can finally like find them. So they go to this penthouse. It's empty. There's no Josh and Jeannie inside. But on this table, they find like a stack of vacation pictures that Josh and Jeannie had taken, like of them. They find a key to the condo unit that Josh and Jeannie were staying at. They found 2 spent bullets. One actually had blood on it. And then when they were looking at it, they realized that these bullets belonged to the gun that was on Erica. And this search, as they went through the penthouse, just became more and more incriminating by the minute. So they keep looking. The police find cocaine. And then they find blood spatter in the bedroom and the bathroom. And it also appeared that they had bought like wall fixer, like to re-wall. Like, what do you do to like fix the wall? Like, what's it called? Like wall paint? I don't know. Like wall putty. So they found like the walls had been patched up. Oh my God, Zara, my brain. The walls had been patched up. And it looked like the things that they were patching up were most likely bullet holes that, you know, damaged the walls, and they were fixing it. And this was mostly in the bathroom walls. In the bathroom, they found traces of blood in the grout lines of the tiles. In the sink and in the stopper, they found hair and tissue pieces, which, I mean, doesn't sound so weird. And under the sink in the bathroom, they found a bullet hole, and this had not been patched up as yet. And then the window in the bathroom had like this man's palm print on it. So weird scene. So during questioning, you know, about all the evidence found in their penthouse, Ben refused to speak. He asked for a lawyer immediately, and Eric, on the other hand, she panicked. She began talking immediately, and she pinned the whole thing on her husband, Ben. Ben was the killer, and he did everything. So what the hell happened that night? So Erica says on that night, they're all hanging out. They end up taking the party back to Ben and Erica's apartment from the club Secrets. They continue to party at Ben and Erica's penthouse. And then at some point in the night, Erica realizes her purse is missing. And she accuses Josh and Jeannie of having something to do with it. Erica says, you know, you stole my purse. Josh then pulls out his handgun and he begins to threaten the couple. And he's like, you know, if you don't give my wife's purse back, blah, blah, blah. And Josh and Jeannie, if you look at photos of them, they look pretty timid, like a timid couple. And obviously they freak out. So they go and they barricade themselves in the bathroom. Someone, and it's still not, you know, proven who did this, someone then shot through the bathroom door twice. And as they shot through the door twice, the 2 shots hit Joshua. Ben then kicks down at the bathroom door, points at Joshua, and then shoots him 2 more times. And Jeannie, she's freaking out. She hides under the sink. And then through the evidence, because of that like hole under the bathroom sink, the bullet hole, it's possible that one of them took a shot at her, missed, and then Erica goes with a knife and then stabs Jeannie to death. It was at this point Ben then goes and dismembers the bodies, 2 bodies. And according to Erica, there was so much blood on the floor that it would like slosh and splash when you stepped on it. They then put Joshua and Jeannie's parts, dismembered parts, into trash bags, and then they start driving across the border state lines into Delaware, and then they dump them into dumpsters in those areas. They patched up the holes in the bathroom, the bullet holes, and then they just continued on partying. They played mini golf, they ate crabs, they swam in the ocean. They took multiple photos of this, by the way, all with big smiles on their faces. Joshua had a ring on him, and Erica took this ring, she put on a necklace around her neck. It was like, had dried blood on it, and she would like wear this ring while she was taking all these photos of herself. And then she goes to a tattoo shop and ends up getting a tattoo in the exact spot where she first stabbed Jeannie. The crazy thing, though, is that even after this, the two of them, they weren't satisfied. And I think it's wild because whenever I hear about dismembering bodies, like, who has the time? Like, me alone, I wouldn't do it because I don't have time to dismember a body, like clean it up. And then, like, have you guys ever like had a cut or something and had to clean up blood? Like, it takes forever. And to clean up like splashes and sploshes of blood, like, no thank you. I don't know how people have the time. They must really want to kill. So because they still weren't satisfied, a few days later, they want to try it again with another couple. So they meet a new couple, and their names were Melissa Selling and Justin Wright. And again, they meet them, they invite them back to their apartment or their penthouse for, you know, to continue the party and to keep drinking. And once again, they try that whole missing purse act again. Erica's like, my purse is missing. And Ben's like, who stole your purse? You know, like, they attempt to threaten this couple. Again, Ben pulls out his gun and he starts like waving it around. Now, the only thing that went differently for this couple, and it's funny that I just said this before, is that Ben and Erica in the middle of it, they're kind of like, wait, hold on. Do we have time to like dismember and clean up these bodies again? Like, we've just cleaned up one. Like, do we have time? We don't have time. Another double homicide? I don't know if we kind of have the time for this, you know, today. So then they tell Melissa and Justin, like, okay, let's play a little game. If you can escape this penthouse, you can be safe. So Melissa and Justin were like, what the fuck? And they just like, they just like bolted out of that penthouse. And I'm like, I wonder how that happened. I wonder how they actually got away. But it probably was like Ben and Erica were drunk, so they managed to just be like, okay, see you later. And like, they just ran. And they survived because of this. But unfortunately, they never reported any of this to the police, which they should have realized it was like a scam, you know, that these guys were going to try and do it to someone else. I forgot to mention earlier too, and I think this is important, that it was Ben that dismembered the bodies, apparently. And at one point, he held up the victims' heads and he told Erica to take a picture of him like holding up their heads, but she refused to do that. And then they also discussed possibly eating some of the victims' flesh, but then they didn't end up eating it. So just thought I should mention that because I think that's important. So yeah, so basically when Erica, she confessed immediately, she started blaming everything on Ben, like it was Ben's idea. Ben was the one that did it. Like, I just went along with it because I was scared of Ben. She was just this frightened, abused victim who was forced to play along. And then funnily enough, when he was questioned about it, Ben was like, it was all Erica, but he didn't really talk much, but he blamed everything on Erica, which is so funny because they had been married for like years at this point and they immediately turned on each other like crazy. So Erica then tried to cop a plea deal by telling the police where the bodies were located. But one of the conditions of this plea deal was that she would need to pass a lie detector test, you know, prior to like receiving it. And she didn't pass this lie detector test. She failed. So the police were like, okay, you have a lot more to do with it than you're claiming. So police searched landfills in Worcester County, Maryland, in the nearby Sussex County in Delaware. Like, they searched everywhere nearby. And they did end up finding, you know, parts of the bodies, but it wasn't anything that made them feel good. Uncovering a person's body part, you know, they didn't find the whole bodies. They found body parts. And it's not really a cause for celebration for the police, but at least the families had some closure that parts of the bodies had been found. Sadly, with Jeannie, all they got was her legs. Like, they could just recover her legs. Actually, just one of her legs. And with Josh, they were only able to recover his torso and his arms. To this day, the rest of their bodies have never been found. And, they're never going to be found. So because of this, Jeannie's cause of death was never determined, and 3 bullets were recovered from Josh's remains, I'm guessing his torso, and all of these bullets matched with Erica's gun, the .357 Magnum gun. Erica and Ben were both charged with the first-degree murders of Jeannie and Joshua, and they both pled not guilty. So before we move into the trials, just think about this. Think about how hard everything escalated. First of all, they were so dumb. How do you commit your first murder and then go straight to dismembering? How do you even do that? Do you guys feel like there was more to it? They had been married for 4 years at this point. Does that really make sense that this was their first murder? I mean, it could have been, but dismembering straight away and then dumping it in I don't know. What do you guys think? So this case was huge in Maryland at the time. Huge. And they were both tried separately. So on 31st March 2003, Ben's trial began. And it was moved out of Westchester County to Montgomery because of the huge publicity it was receiving. And they felt that, he wouldn't be tried fairly in the county where this took place. The public, the media, they were fascinated with this couple who, up until, this case, they felt like they had normal, lives and upbringings. If anything, it was impressive lives and upbringings. Well, not Ben, but Erica. So Ben's massive swastika tattoo also didn't help the case, and Erica further tried to villainize him. I mean, he is a villain, but even more so. And she did this by talking about how, he was obsessed with being powerful and, controlling, and how he really admired Hitler and that was his life goal. Erica also said that Ben was the one that did everything, and she only claimed to help dispose of the bodies, and she didn't want to do any of this, and she was just doing as she was told because she was so afraid of Ben. Ben's defense team, on the other hand, claimed the entire thing was Erica's doing. He tells the jury that Erica, she was high on a cocktail of alcohol, drugs, anxiety medication, diet pills, and it was this combination that drove her to commit murder. Ben stated that he stood by as his wife was killing the couple, and it was he who helped her dispose of the bodies, and he did this largely because he was scared of Erica's erratic behavior. They said the murder weapon was found on Erica and the bullets matched the victims. So the bullets from Erica's gun matched the victims. But realistically, I mean, that's not really strong evidence because Erica could have just been holding the gun. That was her gun, but Ben could have used that gun. The owner of the gun doesn't really state or solidify who actually used the gun, So then, remember that couple, Melissa and Justin, the second couple that they tried to do this to. So Melissa, she was called to testify against Ben. And on the stand, she was actually really scared and she was crying, but then she eventually gathered the strength to tell her story. And she says that her and Justin found Erica and Ben on the side of the road. They had a flat tire. They were drunk and they were acting really weird. And when they approached them, Erica ran up to her and gave her a hug, and she thought that was really strange because she never met Erica before. Erica was acting like she was her best friend. When she sees Ben, he actually had blood smeared on his upper lip or on his mouth. And when, they were questioned him about it, he was like, "Oh, I busted my lip on the steering wheel. I drove over a pothole and I busted my lip." So then they invite Melissa and Justin again back to their penthouse. They agree, they go. So at this penthouse, Melissa says they were all Ben and Erica were acting really weird. They were drunk, they were high, and I'm like, well, why did you go back to the penthouse? But it's not the point. They go back to the penthouse, they're acting super weird. And the same thing happens. They accuse Melissa and Justin of stealing Erica's purse. And the couple was like, what the hell are you talking about? We didn't take your purse. And that's when Ben pulls out the gun and he starts threatening Melissa and Justin. He tells them Erica is pretty unhinged, like I would do what she says. And he points to like the bullet hole in the bathroom that was visible. And he's implying like, somebody else tried to do this to us. So if you want to play these games and do this to us too, steal our purse, then we're going to do the same thing that we did to that couple to you. Melissa says that she then sees the purse, like Erica's purse, like clearly on the table. And she's like, clearly this couple just enjoys scaring and intimidating people. In the end, Melissa says she doesn't know if Ben killed the couple, if Erica killed the couple, or if they both did it together. She couldn't make that determination based on their encounter. Ultimately, the prosecution, they failed to prove that it was Ben, and not Erica who killed the couple, or essentially like the fatal shot that killed Joshua, because they don't know how Jeannie died. So they're trying to base the evidence off the bullet holes found in Joshua, which the bullets matched Erica's gun. So they couldn't prove that it was Ben who shot like the fatal shot into Josh. So the jury then ends up clearing Ben on all charges relating to Joshua's death, which I think is crazy. But in Jeannie's case, because they didn't know the cause of death for her and they couldn't link, it to Erica's gun, they had a harder time proving this, and it was harder to deny Ben's involvement in this. So Ben was convicted of second-degree murder and first-degree assault on Jeannie. And the jury obviously, made this verdict, and the judge actually stated, "This is the first instance in over 20 years that I have disagreed with the jury's verdict." He then goes on to sentence Ben to 38 years in prison. So I'm guessing what the judge meant by that was that he believed that Ben should have been guilty on first-degree murder on both Jeannie and Joshua, because he was on Jeannie. I think he just got second-degree murder. So the same judge, he also acknowledges, okay, well, Ben is going to be eligible for parole after a certain period of time, half of his sentence. So he put a note on the case file saying, when Ben comes up for parole, when he becomes eligible for parole, I want to be notified so that if I'm still alive, I want to be notified so that I can oppose it and fight it. Because in his eyes, he thought Ben should never be let out of prison. So Erica's trial began on June 2nd, 2003. Took place in the same place as Ben's did because of the publicity issue. And now, even though, I said Erica, she tried to cop a plea deal, but she failed a lie detector test, which was part of that plea deal. So they were like, you have much more to do with it, which is kind of good because they kind of got information from Erica, but now they can also charge her, right? Usually a plea deal, you get a much more reduced sentence, but she lied, they can get more. So the prosecution, they present several photos at the trial. They also present the vacation photos that Erica and Ben had taken, the one with Erica wearing Josh's bloody ring around her neck. They both looked really at ease, carefree in these photos, which basically was implying that they were really they didn't give a crap. They showed no remorse for what they had done. They didn't feel anything. They weren't worried. They weren't distraught. They were having fun. And, like the collector Erica had always been, her little scrapbook store, she also kept their IDs, the bullets they were shot with, and Josh's ring. So the prosecution said that she had this gun, the Magnum. She shot Jeannie, but she missed. So that's when she went and stabbed her. But again, who was carrying the gun doesn't really dictate who used it. She could have been carrying it for Ben. She could have had it in her purse. Ben grabs that gun, it was closer to him. Who knows? We don't know. The prosecution also argues that Erica had most likely also did the cutting of the bodies, because she told the police that she helped dispose of the bodies. But again, what does that really mean? Did she clarify? Maybe she literally put the bodies in the garbage bags, put them into the dumpsters, things like that. I just can't, I'm sure women do it, but guys, I'm pretty sure it's not easy to cut up a body. And if there's a man there, why would you sit there and do all the cutting? Do you know what I mean? I know that sounds really sexist, but I'm just being for real. If you look at photos of her, she's super tiny. Do you really think she had the strength to cut all the bodies up by herself? I'm pretty sure Ben was involved in that. Her defense team claimed that everything that she had done was only done to please Ben. It was Ben who committed the murders. The gun that shot Joshua was registered to Ben. So even though he bought it for her, it was registered to Ben. Again, it doesn't matter who was registered to. Erica claimed that the motive for the murders was that she believed that, they stole her purse. It was her prized red Coach bag, and inside it had her grandmother's ring, which was worth $10,000. The defense painted her as a vulnerable and easily manipulated woman. She was really young, and the photos of her and Ben, and mainly her, where she was laughing and smiling in, all of the pictures, this was taken while she was actually under the influence. She was taking Xanax and Paxil in the photos, and that's why she appeared so at ease and smiley in all the pictures. And that was the reason for that, not being high of murdering. The prosecution argued that even if there is doubt as to whether Erica physically pulled the triggers to kill Jeannie and Joshua, there is plenty of evidence to show that she, was very, very involved in helping her husband in these murders, which makes her equally as responsible. They were a team. She assisted her husband in committing these killings, aiding and abetting people. So now this is wild. So on 10th June 2003, not long after, Erica was found guilty of first-degree murder against Joshua and second-degree murder against Jeannie. At her sentencing, she was completely stone-faced, unemotional, even when Josh and Jeannie's family members were making their statements. And it was only when her attorneys began talking about her life is when she just broke down. So kind of tells you the type of person she was. And she asked if she could apologize to the families, but I'm not going to read that because her apology sucks. So she got first-degree murder of Joshua, second-degree murder of Martha, Jeannie, and the judge then has to sentence her, and he sentences her to life in prison plus 20 years. The two of them, Ben and Erica, they ended up applying for divorce in 2010, and I think their divorce was finalized that same year in August. Ben was eligible for parole in 2021. Yep, last year. So Ben then applied for parole this year, 2022. Yep, April 2022, but was declined. He was denied parole. And he can apply again in 2 more years, but his release date is really not far off. It's 2022. He gets released in 2030, I believe. Erica will be eligible for parole in 2 years, 2024. So let's see how that goes. So there is a book called Cruel Death, which I think details these crimes in way more detail. And I really do want to read that book because I hope it kind of delves more into their relationship, because I do want to know more about that. I feel like there's more to it during the 4 years that they were married. This, again, is a very famous case in Maryland. So I feel like everyone that knew them was probably going to be giving out all the juicy goss, The exact details of what exactly happened in that penthouse will never be known. But whatever we do know, whatever is theorized, is enough to make anyone feel sick. I mean, I imagine a tiny little apartment, but then I'm thinking, oh, it's a penthouse, it's probably much bigger. It's wild to me also that Erica got a tougher sentence than Ben. I feel that they were both equally liable. What do you guys think? Ben should have been charged with first-degree murder for sure, but I don't believe Erica was the instigator in all of this, because prior to meeting him, her life, the way she was raised, was pretty much on the straight and narrow. His wasn't, I believe. And I know that doesn't really make sense as a reason for why she wouldn't have done it. Maybe she just changed. Maybe that's what she liked. But just when you think about it, right? Dismembering a body, Joshua was a full-grown man, moving the parts. I feel like they definitely just did it. I feel like they were a team. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't feel like one was more responsible than the other. And then I think they also blame Ben. Ben twisted Erica, and maybe he had an influence on her, but everything she did, she chose to do, So I don't know. What do you guys think of this case? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Besitos. Mwah. Bye.